All right, ladies and gentlemen, everyone should have a notebook or their brain dump or the review packet, whatever you are using to review in front of you. Okay. Friendly reminder, you do have a test on Friday. It is 35 questions, 35 minutes on 7, 8, and 9. Now, if you are taking AP Art History, you have the choice of taking it before or you can take it after. The most important thing is your AP Art History exam on Friday. Can we agree? Hello? So that is the priority, because if it was my test day, I want the attention. Yes? So that is the priority. If you're taking the test, that's when your review packet is due. Is everyone clear? So if you're not taking it Friday, you don't have to have your review packet in on Friday. Does that make sense? However, you should be working on your review packet consistently. Can we agree? Okay, here we go. So let's talk Unit 7 today, ladies and gentlemen. So first thing we're going to talk about is the Russian Revolution. Okay, the Russian Revolution has 3 parts. The first part is when Tsar Nicholas II loses power. That is what we consider the Russian Revolution, when Tsar Nicholas II falls out of power. The second part is the Bolshevik Revolution. And the Bolshevik Revolution is when communism officially takes over Russia. And who leads the Bolshevik Revolution? Friar. Lenin is the guy behind it. Okay, so Lenin does not directly overthrow Tsar Nicholas II. He doesn't. He takes over the power vacuum after Tsar Nicholas II is removed from power. Don't worry about it. Okay, so the third part is the Russian Civil War. The Russian Civil War is between the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. And this is what is going to secure Lenin's power. Okay, so the Russian Revolution has 3 stages. It is going to be those 3. You need to know it is caused by World War I and lack of industrialization. All 3 of those events are all caused by World War I because the death count is so high. This whole thing starts in 1917 because Russia participates in World War I for the first 3 years. Okay. So, when we talk about the Russian Revolution, also be aware of Bloody Sunday, which happens in 1905. It's like the rallying cry. External things. The Russian, not only are they getting their butts kicked in World War I, they also lost the Russo-Japanese War. Remember, this is the first time an Asian country beats a European country, and it's Russia. And then we also have the Crimean War, which also goes horribly for them as well. All right. So China is where we're going next. China has Sun Yat-sen, ladies and gentlemen. Sun Yat-sen is going to defeat the Qing in 1911. Defeating the Qing is not that hard. It just takes a unifying force, and they are anti-foreigners. Why would they be anti-foreigners? Scott? Yeah, what would be a vocab term to describe that? Sphere of influences have been bankrupting the coffers of China for quite some time. Okay, so Sun Yat-sen is going to create an overthrow. He's going to create the Chinese Republic. It will eventually become long-term in 1953 under the Chinese Communist Republic. Okay, so when we talk about Sun Yat-sen, it's really about getting rid of the Qin, who are too pro-European. Okay, according to them. Ottomans, the old man of Europe. That is a lovely outside piece of evidence if you could throw in. They've been around since 1453. Okay, you cannot talk about their collapse without mentioning the Young Turks. Okay, Young Turks and Turkification. The Young Turks are trying to do Western government structures. They're trying to bring Enlightenment thoughts to the Ottoman Empire. They're going to have a coup, and shit's going to get wild. Okay? However, the Ottoman officially collapses after what event? World War I. Okay, so we have a lot of problems going ahead of it. Okay, and one of the major reasons economically why the Ottoman are so weak is because they've refused to industrialize, that you all know, but they're completely and utterly dependent on England to provide all the things it needs, which is never a good look. Okay. Okay, Mexico, we have Portofino Diaz. Okay, Portofino Diaz is an abusive ruler. Okay, and he is really pro-foreigners. Okay, he is pro-foreigners because he's making huge kickbacks. They're going to try to remove him from power in the Mexican Revolution led by Madero. Okay, and it's going to go, meh. There is a huge death count. There's only 15 million people in the area, in like Mexico, and they killed 2 million of them. That's huge numbers, okay? It is going to cause massive instability. When you think of Mexico today, you think of cartel and chaos and all that stuff. Yes, this is where it really stems from. The abuses that have occurred because of the Europeans are obviously horrible, but it is the unsettling from this. Now, the biggest thing is going to play a massive role is land distribution. Is going to be chaos. All right, World War I. So the causes of World War I. Archduke Franz Ferdinand's death is the official start of the war. However, long term, you have competition because of imperialism. You have nationalism and militarism. These countries have been building up their militaries for years, decades, and they want to play with all their new toys. Okay. So, and alliances. That would be something that would be very helpful, is alliances, specifically secret alliances for causes. When you talk about militarism, it's the building up of militaries to one-up the other country. So if the United States has 6 cannons, England has to have at least 7. And this kind of goes back and forth. Obviously, we're not talking about simple numbers like that. Okay, when we're talking about consequences of the Great War, you need to know that it is going to lead to the major downfalls of 4 major monarchies, including Russia, which Tsar Nicholas II gets executed in abasement, Austria-Hungary, that's Franz Ferdinand, Germany, Wilhelm II, and then you have the Ottoman Empire, who I don't remember who's the dude in it, but they're officially done after 1918. Okay, so the major outcome is there's really only 3 monarchies left in Europe at this point. And who's the oldest? Yeah, the Queen. Yeah, the Queen of England. She's got to be dying any day now, right? Every day there's always like, she's on board. No, it's not the same one. No, I mean, she's old as hell. She's only 96. So this is 1918. This is just a little early. Anyway, you do need to know it's the deadliest war until we get to 2. Okay, and it's going to lead to the rise of communism and fascism. Communism literally starts in the middle of it with the Russian Revolution. And you're also going to see a massive power shift. At the end of World War I, who is now the most powerful nation in the world? USA. USA. Who can raise their hand and tell me why America is the most powerful nation in the world? Parker.
We had a final
Yes, so what does that mean?
all our factories and everything's up.
Yeah, everything is up and ready to go. Okay, all of our bank and our infrastructure is perfectly fine, so all that money can go to making money. Okay? And every country after is going to be benefiting us. Okay. Changes in warfare. You can't mention World War I without talking about trenches. Keep that in mind. We're also starting to see guns, like machine guns and gas and tanks and all the things you would really think about in World War II are really starting to be used in one. The United States enters the war in 1917. Keep in mind the war ends in 1918, so we're only in it for a little bit. We almost got pulled in with the Lusitania. Remember, we put a bunch of guns underneath the passenger ship and said, shh. And then the Germans knew it was there, so they blew it up. Yeah? Okay? That's Lusitania. We almost went to war to that, but we did go to war under the Zimmermann Note. The Germans sent a message to the Mexicans asking them to start a war with America at the southern border, and that's why we got it. Total war, which is on your box. Total war means a country devotes all resources, people, things, energy, to winning a war. The best example for the United States is World War II, because we're only in World War I for like a year and a half. But a total war is what it takes to win, and that is a complete devotion of the government. Propaganda is also a huge part of this. Propaganda is going to be used by countries to keep their population motivated and to try to change their opinions. What is the most famous propaganda out of two? Come on now. Rosie the Riveter, or Uncle Sam is really big in World War I. All of those types of things. Okay. World War I is a global war. Japan is going to come in on the team of the Allies. Why is that funny that the Japanese are on the Allies? Yeah, we're going to go to war with them in two, so it's kind of unique. Okay, so the Japanese are on the Allied team. Okay, women are going to be in the war. We're going to be nurses and stuff like that. We're going to be supporting. Okay, colonial troops. Pretty much all of your powers, England and France, are going to say, hey, if you come fight for us in Europe in World War I, we'll give you your independence. Why is that pretty shitty of them? Because they didn't do it. All these people are going to go to Europe and die in a trench, and they didn't give them their independence. Okay? All right. So the war ends with the Treaty of Versailles at the Paris Peace Conference. The Treaty of Versailles is the document that ends World War I. It is led by Woodrow Wilson, who is the U.S. president. He is going to come up with what we call the 14 points. Okay? He's going to come up with it. The couple big things you need to know. It has reparations, which means Germany has to pay for forgiveness, okay, which are going to be demonstrative. And then we also have... League of Nations. Sorry, couldn't come up with it. League of Nations is the other big thing that you need to know that comes out of the Treaty of Versailles. It is technically the 14th point of the Treaty of Versailles. It's supposed to create an everlasting peace, and it will fail because World War II will break out. Okay, self-determination is one of the biggest things that you should note for the Treaty of Versailles. A nation has the right to choose who its leaders is. Why is that funny? Why is that funny? Hayden? Yes, even though they wrote this beautiful document that says every nation should be able to choose their own government, the United States, England, and France, who wrote the document, are still imperializing other places. So all of these countries are like, dude, what the hell? And that will eventually become a big deal. All right, so it's going to hurt Germany the worst, okay? And the reparations and the Treaty of Versailles directly causes what conflict? What conflict? World War II, absolutely. But it is going to, what worldwide event would be the Great Depression. Does that make sense? So, interwar. Interwar is the gap between, of course, we have the Great Depression. The Great Depression is going to start in Germany and spread all around the world because of the reparations. It is going to start in Germany and eventually get to America in 1929. Now, German reparations is the major cause of the collapse of worldwide. Okay. However, when you talk about Great Depression, you really should talk about Keynesian economics by John Maynard Keynes, where we're doing deficit spending, we're manipulating interest rates, all of those things. These things can be found in the New Deal. The New Deal was championed by who? FDR's New Deal is on its bottom, last page, top. Flip it, top. FDR's New Deal. It is. FDR's New Deal is going to be deficit spending. It is going to be interest rate manipulating. Getting Americans back to work. The New Deal is really going to focus on infrastructure and art. Yeah. Most of your buildings get like painted and murals and stuff like that in the 1930s. And like the architecture and all that stuff. They're trying to pay all these people to do it. Okay. All right. Impact of the Great Depression. It's going to slow down worldwide trade significantly. It has a huge hit of that. All right. Political revolutions. We already talked about the Russian Revolution. Yes, the Russian and the Bolshevik Revolution and the Civil War. In Russia, we also have a new guy named Stalin. Stalin is going to come into power after Lenin. Stalin is not a true believer, but he takes the opportunity to take this nation and make it his authoritarian dream. And it is. Under Stalin, he is going to implement the 5-year plan, which is on the front of your frame dome. The 5-year plan is an industrial driven plan for economic growth. It is focused on industrial needs, not consumer goods. What does that mean? They're building like government buildings and massive infrastructure and not much to improve the quality of lives of the people. With that being said, it is successful. I would put successful in quotes. Millions of people are going to die because of poor collectivization, but it does industrialize Russia, and it does move them into the top 5 most powerful nations. So it is successful. Now, if Stalin hates you, you get to go into the gulag. Okay, so this is part of his authoritarian lean. Okay. I don't want to deal with Mexico, but I do want to deal with Italy. Fascism. Let's go to fascism. Okay, fascism is created by Mussolini. It is in Italy first, but who perfects it? Germany under Hitler. Hitler is going to perfect it, but it's Mussolini who starts it. It really focuses on militarism and nationalism. Okay, it glorifies those two things. It creates a totalitarian state, which means one person has complete control over all aspects of government. Totalitarianism, which is in the second row, by the way, is when one person has complete control over the economics, the government, and the policing. When you talk about fascism, it's really identity focused. Nazi Germany is all about glorifying who? Hitler and the Aryan race and all of these things that Hitler believes in, all of that. So keep that in mind. Okay, fascism in Spain. Okay, fascism in Spain is going to be done under Franco. It is a hot damn mess. Now, Franco is going to be in charge until 1975. In his death, he is going to pull Spain into a civil war, which is why they do not participate in World War II. However, fun fact, Hitler gets to practice his blitzkrieg attack in Spain, and this is why we have Guernica. The painting from AP Art History, Picasso, yes, that is from the Spanish fascist Civil War, and that's why we have it. All right. Next, we have Brazil. Okay. Brazil under Vargas is going to turn communist. They are going to do the Estado Nuevo, which is the new state. He calls Brazil the sleeping giant, as in they can kind of modify and improve things. It's meh. It's kind of successful, but not one to really jump up and down about. Okay, so when we talk about modern industrial policies, there are three major ones: communism, capitalism, and fascism. Okay, when we're talking about economics, communism is all about the government controlling. Okay, capitalism believes they should be owned privately, and fascism, business should be owned privately and the government should restrict competition. So they're suppressing and allowing only a few businesses to thrive. Okay, and that's the big difference that you should know. Now, talking about equity. In communism, everyone is supposed to be equal. Which one of these would women be the best under? Communism. Women have more rights under communism than we do anywhere else. And that includes America in the 1930s, when communism is rising, or 40s. You don't really start getting rights to the 50s. With that being said, fascism is all about suppressing certain people's rights in order to use that as a good justification for the nationalism. Okay. After World War III. Oh my God. Oof. Just declared. Oof. Did not mean it. After World War I, people are still pissed. People are pissed because all of these nations who are talking about this like nationalism and all this shit and self-determination are liars. England, France, the United States. So all these countries all around the world are like, hey, we want our independence. We want to be self-determined. And they're like, yeah, we were just like lying about that. And so we're going to have a lot of anti-American and anti-West sentiment. And this is going to push people to align themselves with who? The Russians, but not quite yet. Okay? So, mandate system is post-World War I. You need to know that because it's easy to get confused. It's on the front of your brain dump. The mandate system is the division of the Middle East after World War I to England and France with preference to the United States. Okay? Now, what it means is that they found oil there. And they're going to use it to benefit them. Okay? Now, this is going to lay down the foundation for the atrocities that will lead and justify terrorism coming forward. Okay? The mandate system is created out of the power vacuum of the Ottomans. The Ottomans have collapsed and they're trying to give structure back. Now, James, I know you just got back from testing. Do you need to respond to something?
No.
You sure? If you need to, you're more than welcome to. But I also want you, if you're here, crossing some of this stuff off too. Balfour Declaration, ladies and gentlemen, 1917. It's the document that says Jews should have a homeland, all of that. It is important because what's going to happen in 1947? Israeli state actually comes to full fruition. And it creates lots of tension and is going to attract a lot of popularity. All right. Okay, South Asia. India is where we're heading. Okay. What we're going to start seeing is Gandhi is all about his civil disobedience. Remember, the British told the Indians that if you fight for us in World War I, we'll give you independence. Well, they fought in World War I, and guess what they didn't get? Independence. So Gandhi's like, screw it. These people are liars. Let's do the damn thing. So he starts his civil disobedience. One of his biggest one, of course, is the Salt March. Yes. Okay. And he is going to be purposefully showing the abuses of the British. It's on the 3rd page. Okay? So, he is specifically trying to show the abuses of the British. It is supposed to embarrass them. However, Gandhi does not want this, but the two-state solution is going to become what people prefer. The two-state solution is created by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and it is the creation of the state of India and Pakistan. The two-state solution is created by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It is opposed by Gandhi. He does not want it. He wanted a unified India. Muhammad Ali Jinnah comes up with a two-state solution. Okay? Why is this important? Because eventually it will happen. What do you got, Joseph?
If one thing's in 2 places, do we need to write both of them?
No. Okay. East Asia, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you're going to start seeing anti-colonial movements, okay? I do want to talk about the May 4th. Let's talk China. Okay, so China after World War I is going to start gaining some policies. And they are going to want starting, let me try this again. Hello. During World War I, the Japanese are going to be helping the Allies. They're already in spheres of influence. After World War I, the Japanese are starting to take over territories. Okay? They're going to invade Manchuria starting in 1929, and they're going to start taking over all these Chinese ports. Okay? Now, what we're going to see is that Sun Yat-sen is going to be overthrown by Chiang Kai-shek. Okay, so Sun Yat-sen is eventually going to meet up and associate with a guy named Mao, and that's how Mao starts getting in there. Mao's not coming on until after. Now, Mao and the Chinese Communist Party are going to be banished from China. Okay, they're going to be banished from China, and while Mao goes on a long march, okay, what is he doing? Yeah, he's doing that, but he's also writing his little red book, okay? And it's about his whole experience. You know how Hitler has his Mein Kampf, Mein Struggle? The red book is Mao's version of this. This long march will make, oh my God, I almost said Hitler, Mao very famous, okay? So Mao is going to be rejected from China. Then he's going to go on a long march, gather allies, gather support. He's going to start creating some buzz about himself, and then he's going to eventually come back to China, where he's going to be well received, and that will propel him to become the Mao we love to hate. Do we love him? I think the Chinese are even a little conflicted, but they pretend they love. All right. Resistance in West Africa. Now, you need to know all the people in Africa are pissed as well because they wanted their independence and they didn't get it. Now, let's get to 2. World War II. Here we go. You need to know that fascism is going to create competition between these nations, specifically when Germany gets it. We also have countries voiding the Treaty of Versailles. The first country to do it is Japan. They do it in 1929 with the invasion of Manchuria, and everyone's busy with the depression that no one says anything. The second country to avoid it is Italy with their invasion of Ethiopia, which was done just to show that they could. And then the third country will then be Germany, who's going to rebuild their military. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, we got pretty far. Okay, maybe not. You okay?
Yeah.
You don't seem good.
I know my SAQs.
Yes.
About 2 weeks ago, and I saw 0.
2 weeks ago. Which one?
The last time,
All you gotta do is find them in the bucket. They must have gotten pulled into something. Nothing's been thrown away. They're in there. Have a wonderful day. Can this be?